Hey, this is Stephanie.
And I'm Nina.
And you're listening to Live by the Spirit podcast.
Hello.
Hi.
Why did you have that face?
I'm just so excited. It's a special episode.
You know what episode this is?
This is, I don't know what number this is because this is officially the start of season 2.
Yes. Because in approximately 2 days, exactly 2 days, it will be our
Anniversary.
1-year anniversary of the podcast.
Wow. We started on Monday, April 3rd was the first podcast episode
Mhm.
ever recorded. And you know what's crazy is we recorded that in Nina's old apartment.
We recorded it in my old apartment.
And we have some news. We're actually going to be moving there together. We're moving back to Nina's old apartment complex together. We're going to be roommates. We're going to be doing that in June.
And it's so exciting too because we have a third bedroom that's going to be
Yes.
our podcast studio.
Yeah, we'll have like a proper place. We won't have to like tear down. We won't have to record in my bed anymore.
We won't be recording in anybody's bed, anybody's closet, anybody's living room. We will have
Literally.
a room solely dedicated to that / an office because Steph works from home. But also like any other thing, it's going to house one of my closets because Steph's closet is like
It's
four
probably
closets
It was like,
together.
it's probably the size of my bedroom right now. I'm so
Yeah.
excited.
So I am going to have that closet and another closet. And so it's so exciting. We're
I
going to,
know. I'm just so
it's gonna be
excited.
really cool.
We were talking about this. I'm just so excited that we won't have to like tear things down
Yeah.
because I have like a microphone stand that's one of the desk ones. But since we record like sitting on my bed, because that's the most comfortable like soundless spot for us right now, I have to like attach it to like my bed frame. But then obviously I'm not going to have a microphone stand just be attached to my bed when I'm,
Yeah.
so it's just a whole thing. And so I'm just excited that like we'll have like a place for everything and we won't have to move everything.
Yeah, after every episode, I won't have to like tear my computer down and my mic and everything and bring it back home with me. We can like leave it there and have a proper place for all of this to go on.
It's just crazy because at the beginning of this fast period, I started praying a lot for my next living situation and also finances. And it's just been so beautiful to see how God's really worked because both of us were kind of dead set on not living with each other because we were worried about ruining our relationship that we have. But it's been really cool to see God like confirming it, saying, no, this is what you guys are meant to do. This is what I have for you. And then also giving us the opportunity of the place that we're going to be moving to and and I think our excitement because we're going to be moving a little bit farther away from where we're living now. And so the fact that we're excited about it, even though we're moving a little bit away from our community, I think is really exciting.
Yeah, but it's like a 20-minute drive.
Yeah.
I used to do it all the time, so I'm not really concerned about it at all. I never missed anything.
We're going to have the pool back.
We're going to have my nice big pool back. And they have a separate smaller pool, which is nice too. So like if the big pool is crowded, maybe we could go to the other pool.
I know.
We get the sand volleyball court back, all the grills.
It's just so nice.
I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see like what's going to happen with the podcast because we're going to be together a lot more, which I think just gives us more opportunities because I feel like sometimes throughout the week it's like, oh, we have to get together to record versus just being home. And then like if, a topic comes up in one of our minds, it's like, well, what are you doing tonight? Do you want to record? I'm just excited to kind of see how God's going to move with the Spirit with us while we're there. So,
and I think it's really cool too. Like I'm excited to see about the community there.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you've started getting the emails.
I have.
They've already had 2 food trucks.
I got
Okay, so here's the timeline. Today is Saturday.
Yes.
On Monday,
we toured.
Monday night, we applied. Tuesday morning, we got accepted and put our security deposit down. And Wednesday, they had a food truck. And then today, they had a food truck. And we're getting all these emails. And I know that they do a lot of community things today.
Yeah.
Together. Sorry, I'm literally delusional.
No, she's fasting
I'm
food
fasting
right
food right now, so I'm a little out of it. But
she's doing great.
Today's not Saturday.
Today's
Friday.
I know.
Whoa, I am all
Which
out of
just
whack.
shows
It's Good Friday today.
Yeah, which just shows that it's like crazy how fast it happened this week because it, on Sunday I told Nina, I was like, hey, so I have to let my apartment complex know like, because my 60 days are almost here. And I told her, I was like, I would love for us to at least have applied if this is where we're supposed to go before I have to give my notice, just so that we have a little bit more comfortability. Even though I knew that this is what we were going to do, and I didn't see a reason why they weren't going to accept us. But, you know,
sooner rather than later.
But we were like, when will we have time this week to tour? And then it just so happened on Monday, I was like, hey, really random, but would you have time after school today? And she was like, yeah. And so
I was just sitting at my desk, like, working at school. I didn't actually have to be there.
Yeah. Well,
So
then
my contract hours.
and then when we got to the apartment complex, the girl who did our tour was Nina's old leasing
It's
agent.
my leasing agent.
So we already had
So
like
she already
a
knew me,
connection.
yeah.
We already had a connection with her, and she was so nice and was just like, she showed us several apartments. It wasn't
Yeah.
just one, and so she really was patient with us, and which I thought was really, really awesome. And it just every like moment we were there is just like more and more confirmation that's like, this is what we were wanting, like this is something that we were meant to do. And it's crazy because Nina was like, we're not doing the 3-bedroom. Nina was like, I don't remember liking the 3-bedroom, we're not going to do a 3-bedroom.
I
And then
remember liking it.
we walk into the 3-bedroom and I'm like, we're not doing it, so I'm just gonna get my hopes up for nothing. And the second we walk in, Nina was like, oh my gosh, this could be where our podcast studio is, this could be your room, this could be my room. And I was like, I guess we're doing the 3-bedroom.
I was really
She was like, we could put the
excited.
like, we'll put the couch here. And I was like, okay, I guess we're doing the 3-bedroom.
Yeah.
So
It was not at all what I imagined us doing at all, but I think it's really cool that we've talked about a studio since like day one. And, you know, when we recorded with Jude back in August, it was really nice that he has his whole studio, because that's what he does. He does music. So like recording in an environment like that was super cool for me, because it was like, wow, like this is so much nicer than sitting on somebody's bed and just talking, like.
yeah.
And so I think it's really cool how the Lord's provided that, as well as like fulfilled our needs for a living situation, roommates and everything. And it's been really cool.
I think also having like more space is going to be great, because I think Nina and I, even though we're best friends, we definitely need like our separation from time to time.
Yeah.
So it's going to be nice that like we're going to have like, there's so many different rooms, like even like there's like where the dining room area is, it's almost like a room to itself, then the living room, and then like the office / recording like studio room. And it's like, I think I'm going to have an extra TV. So it's like, we're going to find like areas to make it a little bit more spaced out. So it's like, if we just want to have solo time, it's like we can have solo time and not be in our bedrooms.
Yeah.
Which is what I'm, you know, because I'm going from living alone for 2 years to now living with a roommate again, which I'm really excited about. I've definitely been needing it, but I think it's definitely going to be a bit of a transition again. But I think it's going to be an interesting transition, because I'm going to move in first. So it's like I get the lay of the land first, and then you'll come in. So
I think it's also interesting. I was talking to my mom about it, and the one cool thing about, because I live with my brother right now, and so the one cool thing about living with Steph too is like, I feel like it's going to prepare us even more for marriage, because I'm living with my brother. I don't need to have the space clean all the time. We don't need to, like, we don't care.
Yeah.
But it's like when you're living with somebody else, you want to make sure that like we're like, it's setting up a schedule, making sure we're taking turns cleaning different things. Like one person's not always cleaning, like doing all the dishes and everything, like setting up like those type of boundaries and how that's going to look. I think it's going to be really beneficial for us. And then working out conflict as well. Like, I think it's inevitable that we will have conflict, but also knowing that we have the handbook of how to handle conflict in the Bible. And so it's like, we know how to deal with that. And I think it's going to be a really good, like, practice round for us to, like, I don't need to love Steph because she's not related to me.
But you get to choose to love me.
I choose to love her, and the Lord calls us to love others. And so it's like, if I respect her and love her, like, we need to figure this out. And it's working that out with somebody who's not in your family. I think it's going to be a challenge, but I think it's going to be something that's really beneficial for us.
What I thought was super crazy too is how Nina was the one who was dead set not wanting to live with me. And I respected it, because I was like, I've been there where I've lived with the best friend, and there were moments where it sucked and I regretted it, and I said I'd never live with a best friend ever again. But also, you know, if you truly, like Nina was saying, if you truly have a love for somebody, you can make any well, I shouldn't say any situation, but you can make the most out of the situation that you're in. And I think with us going in, kind of talking about our past issues that we've had with past roommates, you know, I know that Nina's not going to have certain issues that I had some with some other roommates and vice versa. So I think that, or what, am I technically your first like roommate?
I mean, outside of Jonah, yeah.
That's
I mean, because Jonah's my
crazy.
roommate right now.
I
But
didn't realize
outside
that.
of Jonah, I've never lived with anybody else. I lived by myself. Then I moved in with Jonah.
So with non-family.
And yeah, this is the first time I'm living
Wow, that's exciting.
without family, minus that year I lived by myself. But
Yeah.
This is
Where-
the first time with a true roommate.
Yeah, where you know, I lived with different people every single year of college, but my senior year I lived with one of the girls that I lived with my junior year, and then our friend Kaylee, who I lived with sophomore year. So it was like I'd already lived with the two of them, but it was a different like set of girls together. And then I lived with two other, since moving back to Tennessee, I've lived with two other girls before moving into my current place and being alone for 2 years. And while I have loved living alone for 2 years, I think that was a God thing. I needed to learn how to be on my own for a little bit. I think the Lord has kind of been like, you need to remember what it's like to live with somebody else, because you're getting too comfortable in your bubble of being alone. And I'm like, you're not wrong.
By the time you move out, you'll have been here for 2.5 years, which is crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah, well, it's because I moved in here December 7th, 2021, and my move out day is June 6th.
And it's crazy too, because then right around that time will be my 2-year anniversary of living here.
Yeah.
So it's going to be absolutely wild. Like, it's going to be really interesting to see how it works, but I'm excited, and I know that it'll be good.
Yeah. Well, we kind of got off topic of our anniversary because we're
Yes.
super excited about the move, and we just got the news, and again, that was something that we'd been both praying for during the fast.
During this fast that
So
we're in,
it was cool to see, like, with our last true week of the fast, God providing this for us. But we have been recording our podcast for 1 year,
which is absolutely wild.
It's
too.
crazy.
I want to look real quick to see when the first time we recorded was, because I think it might have been like around today's date.
Yeah. It's just, you know, we've talked about it before, but when Nina first moved here and we started hanging out, we were both like talking about how we've always wanted to do a podcast, but it's like, what would our podcast be about? And we both loved like a show, and with an E, we were like, we could do like recap videos and like do each episode and stuff and things like that, but it just never felt right. And it was like February of last year, or like the end of February, I was driving to the job I had, and I just heard God saying, you're going to do a podcast that's about me and like bringing people to me. And so I reached out to Nina, and I was like, I heard God plain as day say this. And she was like, oh my gosh, I'd been feeling something similar. And then it was like, okay. So it was just like getting the ball rolling, and
March
25th. What's today?
The 29th.
That's crazy.
That was the very first time we ever recorded.
At your old apartment. That will be our new apartment. That's so exciting.
It's so crazy too. I think it's really interesting to see like who we were then and who we are now. And I think that we've both grown and changed so much since then.
Gosh,
so it's really cool to see what this has become, rather than like what we originally thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Like you were just saying. But I have a few questions that I thought would be a little
Okay.
fun. I kind of already briefed you on them earlier, if you
Yes.
even remember that. But we've had a bit of a day. It's not really a bit of a day. It was just kind of,
We just had some things go on today.
it was just
In
a
a
little
good way.
bit
We
ago
had
that
some
I said
errands
this.
to
So,
run.
yeah. So my very first question is, what was your favorite episode that we ever recorded?
There's so many that I enjoyed, but like my most memorable one was towards the beginning. I don't even remember necessarily.
Episode 3
Yeah,
of the relationships episode.
I think so, because I remember Nina came over. I think you'd spent the night or something like that.
I don't remember.
But I just remember we were trying to figure out a topic, and I literally said, why don't we just go into the closet and just start recording and see what happens? Worst case, we talk about nonsense and we never upload it. And it was just really cool to see how God moved during that conversation, because we went in without a plan.
We went in and we prayed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then immediately the Lord was like, talk about relationships. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Neither of us are in one. I don't feel qualified to talk about this, but it was really interesting because that's one of my favorites too. And it's also like one of our most listened to as well.
That's so cool. I also I'm gonna look at it. I also really enjoyed every time that we've had a guest. I think the only 2 times we've had a guest were when we did it at 2 episodes with our friends Josiah and Chad, and then we did 2 episodes with our friend Jude. Those were always fun because it was just nice to get to talk to someone else, and I know that's something for this season we're wanting to do more of. And now that we'll have a space to be able to invite people over, and it's not going to be sitting on my bed and stuff, I think I'm excited to see things like that too.
Yeah, I think that my favorite episode, I have 2, and the first one was the relationships episode because I think it was so cool how that episode came about, and it was really cool. And I know a lot of people have reached out to me saying that was really impactful for them.
Yeah.
But my second favorite episode was born in much the same way. And it was our second episode we recorded with Jude. And it was our wasted time episode.
Oh, yeah.
And that episode was the same ordeal. We were at Jude's recording and we started talking about something. And we were like, we should record that second episode about that. So it was not anything that we had planned. It was just we got to talking, and that conversation came out of it, and I loved having that conversation. I thought it was cool how both of those episodes came to be over just how the Lord wanted us to talk about things and how they came out. I think it's cool.
I also really liked when we did modesty too. I remember that got a lot of traction on Instagram randomly, the reel we made for that. I thought that was a really good conversation. That we also recorded one episode called Those Christian Boys. I just remember the name. That's probably the last episode that I listened to from beginning to end. I just know just kind of stopped listening to our podcast. Sorry.
It's kind of funny to listen to it after we just talked about it and we just recorded it.
Yeah, because it's I already know what we're gonna say. So but those I think were really good. Also, when we started our Lies from the Enemy series, I think was really good. But it's crazy to look back at the beginning because I feel I hate saying that we've been in a rut, but I feel like we've been in a rut lately of just trying to think of topics every single week and different things like that. But it's cool to look back at the beginning of our first few episodes of how excited we were and all these ideas. We had an episode about idolizing leaders or Christian celebrities. It was things that we were super, super passionate about, which we still are. But it's making me want to get that fire again. It's okay, what's our next thing that we could talk about? So yeah, because Nina and I both have agreed this year we don't want to just record to record. Yeah. So that's why there's been, I feel of some weeks that we've skipped. It's just because we haven't really felt that there was something that we were super excited to talk about that week, and it just would have been an episode of us recording, and we didn't want that
for no purpose.
For no purpose. And I think I'd rather there be a purpose and us have a good conversation together as friends, but also if we want people to listen to this, we want, obviously there, you guys have good content too. So, so I'm excited. I think with the move, it's going to be really cool to see again, if we're just hanging out one night and then we're talking about something, it's we need to just record this right now. Yeah. I'm excited to see how the Spirit's going to move in that versus we have to sit down and record and all that.
I'm excited about, I know, we're gonna have some guests here shortly, and I'm really excited about the episodes that come out of that. I think we're gonna record 2 with these 2 guests, and I am so thrilled for y'all to meet one of them.
Yes,
another one of them, but the one of them we're really excited. He is one of our biggest fans.
I love him,
so we're really excited to have him on the podcast. And
you know who you are. We're not gonna say your name.
Yeah, you know who you are. But I think that's going to be really cool. And I think that we've talked a lot about having more guests. Yeah. And I know we have a few different people in mind that we would like to have. But also,
what?
Jonah
wants to be on the podcast.
Says to me all the time, when are you going to have me on the podcast?
We want Jonah on the podcast.
So we definitely want to bring Jonah on very shortly. We talk about him a lot. You've never met him.
Jonah's great.
And I think it would be really funny to begin with, and then it would just get super deep. Yeah. And because that's the type of person that he is. So we're excited to have him on eventually too. So we're really excited about the season that's to come.
Yeah, I really do. Like I said, I think having the studio is going to be nice again, because it's not having people come over and us sit on my bed or go into a closet. It's going to be way more sit down type of feel. So that's what I'm super excited about. Did you have another question?
Yes, I was also going to ask, what has been your favorite thing that you've, like, just your favorite thing about doing the podcast over the last year?
I've enjoyed having deeper conversations with you.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like as best friends, like obviously we'll have deep conversations, but it's kind of cool to like have a category and really understand the other person's mind. And even if we don't come out of that conversation having the same opinion about something, it's nice to know your reasoning behind it and then my reasoning behind it and things like that. I feel like it gives us a better understanding of each other. And also it's just really cool to hear people, you know, come up and say, I was listening to your episode and I relate to this, or I was listening to this episode and it made me want to send it to my friend who is dealing with this. We got that recently with our anxiety episode, which was just so crazy. One of our friends was like, I was listening to that and I got coffee with this friend who's dealing with it. So I sent it to her and we actually met her, which was really cool. So and that's like the whole thing that I really felt God was encouraging us to start, was for moments like that of getting, you know, community more aspect of it. And so that's probably been my favorite part.
Yeah, and the whole thing is, it doesn't matter how many people listen, as long as the people that are listening are getting something out of it and it's impacting people. Like, I don't care how many people listen, as long as the people who are listening have that impact, or they feel it, or they, like you said, want to send it to somebody that they know is dealing with that. And I think that's been such a cool experience. I want to say probably one of my favorite things. I also agree, like, having those deep conversations has been really fun. But also another thing is like how we'll go into an episode with a rough outline of what we're going to talk about. We have scripture, and then just seeing how the Lord moves through that, and, you know, just the conversations that come from it, and they come out in the episode that we weren't even planning to have. And I think that those have been definitely my favorite moments of doing this.
Or we'll come in and like in a super crabby mood, and then we get done recording and we're both like super happy.
That has happened quite a few times.
That has happened a lot, like too much.
It hasn't been super, super much, but there's been definitely a handful of times.
Well, it's so funny too, because Nina has a key to my apartment, so there's sometimes she'll just walk in and we won't say a word to each other. We'll just get everything set up, and it's making me curious to see how we're gonna live with each other.
It's funny though, because I'm gonna be away, like I'm gonna be awake and out of the house before you're even awake.
Yeah,
because I have to be at work at 7 a.m. Steph doesn't work until 8, and so she works from home, so she doesn't have to get up and go somewhere. Like, I have to get up, get ready for work, and leave.
But I think that's going to be like our saving grace, is we won't be both stuck in the apartment all the time.
Yeah, I think that's going to be definitely really helpful, but I think it's going to be interesting to see, because then I'll be coming home like 3 to 5 o'clock, and it's going to be interesting. Like, that'll be like the first time that we're talking every day.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited though. I genuinely, I have such peace about it. And like, that's the thing. 'Cause we've had several friends be like, we just want to make sure that you're making, you know, that you really do think that this is going to be smart for the two of you. You really do feel like this is what God has for you. 'Cause we just love you guys and we love your relationship, and we don't want to see that implode. And it's like, we would not be doing this. I know you wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Unless you thought we could work it out. So,
for sure.
So yeah, it's gonna be exciting, but like Nina said, we're gonna have our moments,
but it'll be good.
And I think we've already had conversations about like conflict and things like that, and it's just like, if you're having it, like, if you need me to wash the dishes, just tell me to wash the dishes, like type of thing. So, and that I'm excited about. And I think this summer is gonna be so much fun. Like, I'm so excited. Summer is my favorite season, so I'm just excited to be tan and get to go to the lake, you know, all that. It's gonna be good. Get to be by the pool. I'm so excited to have a nice pool.
Oh my gosh,
I'm so ready. It was so nice out today. We sat outside for a little bit at a coffee shop with our friend Cameron, and I was just like, I'm in heaven right now.
I will say the sunlight did help me a lot. It helped the faintness, for real.
Oh yes,
and the weakness I'm feeling. Anyways, question number 3: what has been your least favorite thing about the podcast? I have one for sure.
Okay, you go first.
The technical difficulties.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Like, it is such a pain. When I tell you, right before we recorded this episode, my computer that I'm using, 25 minutes of it just spinning, that circle of death, I like to call it.
Yeah.
I had to restart the computer twice. It's just so frustrating, and I know that I know it's fine, But I think that's definitely been my least favorite thing. It's like when we're excited about talking about something.
Yeah.
And then that happens. It's like it feels like it kills my mojo a little bit.
Yeah.
But
I would
yeah.
say for me, I personally like to be ahead of the game when it comes to like Nino
Yeah.
can attest to this. I like to be like a few weeks ahead of schedule when it comes to recording, and I'd say like 80% of the time it's not like that.
Yeah.
And so like we end up having to record like last minute on Saturday or even sometimes on Sunday. Even there's been a couple times on Monday itself, and I just like, because I run our social media, I like hate the last minuteness of it, because then it's like I have to do everything Monday morning. When I'm also working. But I honestly feel like things will be different when we live together.
I think it'll be a lot different.
I think right now it's just we have two competing schedules.
Yeah.
We don't live together, so it's not like we're going to run into each other. It's like we have to make intentional time for either me to go to Nina's or Nina to come here.
Yeah. So I think that'll definitely be really nice to be able to get ahead of the schedule, because if we have a Saturday where we're not doing anything, we can just be like, all right, well, like, let's bust it out. And normally that's hard for us to do, because me working Monday through Friday, like on different, like with less flexibility than you have, I will say, because you live here. I like am in office every day, like I'm at school every day. So it's like I think it'll be nice to, you know, record throughout the week more, because we don't do that as much, because a lot of the times we have connect groups throughout the week, or, you know, I tutor, so it's just a lot with our schedules. But I think it'll be a lot nicer.
In the mic.
You're probably fine. I have hit my mic stand against my computer about 3 times, and I have to go through and edit out those noises because I know that they popped up.
Sorry, y'all. But like it's not a bad thing, but that's probably why there's been some weeks where there's been no episode. It's just because we weren't ahead of the game that I would like us to be at. But like also, you know, and I think with that, sometimes it's like, oh, that feeling of, oh, we have to record versus we get to record. And so like kind of that feeling of not wanting to do it, I don't enjoy that. Like, for instance, today I was super excited for us. We went to a coffee shop and did some work, and then, you know, ran some errands. But I was like, I'm so excited to come back and record. And it's like, I feel like some of my favorite episodes have come out of that energy and that excitement. And so I just never want this to feel like, oh, we have to do it. Chore. Yeah. And that's, again, like going back to what we were saying earlier. That's why it's like, I don't want to record just to record. So, and I've been happy that you've had the same mindset about that too.
Yeah.
Because I want us to be able to give our whole heart into it. And there's some episodes that I look back on and it's just like, we did not want to be recording that day. And you can tell at the beginning of it. And I just feel so bad. So, yeah.
How do you think that you've grown over the last year?
The last year?
Yes.
I think I've grown so much closer with God. I think my identity in Christ has grown more. Like, it's crazy to think this time last year, the fast, my main prayer was, Lord, I want when people see me to see you. And then just at my birthday, we've talked about this, but at my birthday, hearing people say that about me, that was because obviously, you know, I can't predict how people are going to see me, but it was just really cool to see that. And also just hearing people talk about how I bring everything back to God, and how just even like when we'll have a conversation, I'll bring God up, and it's just like, that's who I want to be. I know that's who you want to be. I think all of us as Christians want that. And that for many years I was too nervous to be like that. And so it's been really cool because of having these conversations, being more open. I feel like it's allowed me in just my personal relationships, or even non-personal relationships, when we go to random worship nights or when we go out to eat with someone we don't know, and just like bringing God up. It's been really cool to see being more open in that regard. So yeah, I'd say just like more openness to have those kind of discussions, more passion to speak. I also feel like the Lord's really been speaking to me about like what my purpose is and what his plan is for me in the future with my godly gifts. And I think doing this podcast has been a good like practice run with all that. So I feel like that's really what I felt over the last year.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Yeah, I was trying to look this up real quick. So when you were talking about like who we want to be as Christians, and one thing that's always boggled my mind, if my phone will work, what the heck? My phone is being ridiculous. Hold on. What percentage of the U.S.? Okay. So, when you Google what percentage of the U.S. is Christian, it's like people say that there's like 210 million people who claim to be Christian. But also within that, it's like, okay, claiming to be Christian and then actually living the life that is required of that. And I feel like for so much of my life, it was not that I didn't believe in God at all,
lukewarm.
but it's like, like being lukewarm. Exactly. And I think that, you know, over the last several years, like really making that my identity. And I definitely agree with you. I really think that doing this podcast has made me feel like more confident in my ability to go and speak to other people. It's made me more confident in my ability to like speak the truth. And one thing that has been really interesting to me since I've met this community, a lot of people have said like, Nina, you just know your Bible. You just know your Bible. You just know your Bible. And when people would say that to me, I'm like, okay, but I don't really know more than you. But I feel like really diving in over the last year, the Lord has definitely given me the ability of knowledge and giving me that gift where I'm able to retain scripture really quickly and just being able to memorize it after reading it once or twice and having that ability and then having the boldness and confidence that's come out of this. Being able to go and recite that scripture to others has been really beneficial for me. And I think it's been really cool to see how the Lord has used that gift in my life, not just on here, but in everyday conversations.
Yeah. I would say when we started this a year ago, I was way more spiritual in the sense, like spiritual knowledgeable, if that makes any sense, where like I'd grown up seeing angels and I like started speaking in tongues at a young age, whereas you were more like book knowledge.
Yeah.
And it's been cool to see how we both realized how the other one is also super important. So even seeing you grow more spiritually in your spiritual gifts and me having more excitement to read and know the word has been really cool to see as well.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I think it's been really interesting, like having grown up in completely separate backgrounds of like what kind of churches that we grew up in, and then also like where we go to church now and how our community has taught us that, but also how we've taught that to each other. Because I think it's like you said, you being really heavily on your spiritual gifts and me being really heavily on book knowledge, and then mixing that together has been super cool to see how I've grown in my spiritual gifts and how you've grown in your knowledge of the word. And it's been really cool. Yeah. Especially in January, you growing a lot in your memorization of scripture. And I know that you needed to do that given your circumstances. And we've talked about this on here, the anxiety that she was dealing with. But seeing you grow in that specifically recently has been awesome because you're able to recite so many of those verses that you held on to like an anchor. And it's really cool to see you grow in that.
Also, it had to start like definitely the last week of December. I cannot remember going one day without being in my Bible.
Yeah.
By myself. Like
100%.
I mean, there are definitely moments where I get home at like midnight and count that as my day when technically it wasn't. But like, you know, before I go to bed at night, like being in the word and just like the importance of just, you know, being in the word for just even if it's only for 5 minutes and just really prioritizing that time. Because, you know, there'd be moments where I'd go a week without being in my word, or at least by myself. And it's just like, you know, well, I'd have things going on and stuff. And I remember we talked about this when we talked about the beach trip, but when we drove to the beach, I think you made a comment saying that was the only day that trip that you weren't in the word, and it was because you couldn't because you were driving. And then I made the comment saying, well, I could have read it out loud.
Yeah.
Or, you know,
we could have done something better.
We could have done something in the car. And so it's just, I've heard that in my head ever since of, well, I don't have time throughout the day, but I have time to scroll on TikTok for 10 minutes before I go to sleep.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, I'm like, okay. And so it's been nice because I tend to have my quiet time now right before I go to bed. And I know for some people, it's like really important for them to do that first thing in the morning. But for me, I've noticed that my accountability, I'm way better about doing it right when I wake up, right before I go to bed at night. And then it's also nice because at the beginning of the year, I was dealing with struggle falling asleep, that the last thing I really do before sleeping is spend time with God and really feeling his peace. So that's been something I've been really enjoying.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that You know, it doesn't matter what time of the day that you get in the Word, as long as you are prioritizing that time. And for people who say, I've said this probably 1,000 times on this podcast,
Yeah.
for people to say you don't have time, that is a lie, because you have time to do so many other things. And, you know, if I can sit and play Candy Crush on my phone, I can read my Bible. Like,
Yeah.
it's just something as simple as, you know, changing where your priorities lie. And I think it's been really cool to see where our priorities have completely flopped since last year. So
Yeah.
it's
Well,
really interesting.
It used to be last year, it's like if we had a Bible study together as a group, I'd count that as my time with God. And like, while that was still a good time to have with God in my community, that was not private time with God. And like, I'm building a one-on-one relationship with God. I have to have like one-on-one time. I can't like always, you know. So
just like with any of your friends, you know,
It's-
you need that one-on-one time. And we've had Bible study every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. for the last 4 weeks. And I was talking to somebody and they were like, well, you did already read today. It's like, no, I read with my group. I want to read the Word and spend time with the Lord by myself in private, where I can, you know, like we've talked about, praying out the Word, you know, praying out loud, like praying to the Lord over this, what I'm reading, and just really spending time just dwelling in His presence. And, you know, we can do that absolutely as a congregation, as a church. We do that all the time, yes. But you need to make sure that you spend that one-on-one time with the Lord.
yeah, for sure.
But yeah.
Did you have any other questions?
No.
Yeah, I don't think I had any questions. You asked some good ones. But yeah, I can't believe it's been a year. I'm excited to see where this year is going and see what season 2 has in store. Yeah, we always appreciate feedback. So if you guys have topic ideas, please feel free to reach out to us.
My mom always leaves a comment
She does.
on our podcasts. So be like my mom
Yes.
and write a comment.
We love reviews too.
Yes.
Oh, also, we can announce it here because this means that you listened to the podcast episode, but we are doing a giveaway on Wednesday.
Yes, we are doing
for
a giveaway
our
for our
1
1-year anniversary.
for 1 year. So it's not going to be on any, we're not going to announce it until Wednesday.
Yes.
But
this
but
will
yeah,
come out Monday, so you guys can hear that.
so we
and
can
then-
really see who's paying attention.
Yes. So look out for that. We will have a giveaway. We have some exciting things coming up.
Yes.
Oh, and if you didn't notice, we have a completely new podcast cover
Yes.
with new pictures. Georgie, our wonderful friend Georgie,
Love
she took our
Georgie.
last pictures too, but
Georgie's our
Georgie
photographer.
is amazing, and she spent, you know, time away from her family one Saturday to help us take these pictures, and they're
Yes.
amazing. I love all of them. We have so many fun ones for new content, and we're so excited for that. And
Yes.
yeah, so
We were less awkward this photo
We
shoot
were.
too.
we were
Even Georgie was saying that. She was like, it was so
the
nice
first
because
time
you
it was
guys,
so weird.
I think just because we were still like, I shouldn't say we were new to our friendship, but like we hadn't ever done anything like that versus like now.
No, we don't care.
Now we don't care. I've done so many photo shoots with Georgie. I'm like, just tell me what to do.
Yeah.
But
So,
but
yeah.
yes, I'm super excited that we have a new cover and
Yeah.
and everything. So,
So
nice. Oh, and a new logo.
and a new logo.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh, I totally forgot. Yeah, we completely rebranded.
Yeah, we completely rebranded. So you guys are seeing this on the day that it's releasing.
Yes.
We've had it ready.
I've
We've
had
the
that-
logo ready since the beginning of since
December.
December. Yeah, because we were talking about doing it in January, but then we were like,
Well,
we're so close to the 1 year, we may as well just wait.
yeah. That was, I feel like I've had that logo ready since like November because I remember doing the Christmas cover and I was tempted to use it, but I was like, no, we'll wait to the beginning of the year. And then it was like the beginning of the year was happening and it was like, no, let's wait till like, because I wanted to get a new album cover and I just felt like there was we needed to do all that together. So I'm much happier with this logo. It actually looks like a
Yes.
logo versus just looks like words.
Yeah, it looks so much better.
So.
Props to Steph for doing all of
Our
that.
friend Brittany helped me with that. Like I was trying to design. So how this came about was I was trying to design the current sweatshirt and t-shirt design we have now. And she kind of helped me with the start of it. And then I was like, I just kind of want this to be the new logo. So I redid a little bit of it, but I should say like she was the one who kind of helped with the placement because she has such a great attention to detail, and so she was helping me with the sweatshirts we wore on the photo shoot. And I was like, I have to say you're kind of the reason why we have a new logo because you helped me with this. And she was like, oh yeah, I forgot. So
Yeah, so, you know, maybe there's some opportunity
Yes.
for you to, you know, have one of these sweatshirts.
If you're ever interested, oh yes, because of the giveaway.
Because of the giveaway.
But also, if you're ever interested in buying something, just reach out to us
Yes.
on Instagram. We're just such a small community. We can give you a price and just an
Yeah.
estimate. But
And we have, you know, hoodies, we have t-shirts, you
T-shirts.
know, we could make crew necks or something if you want, you know.
Yeah.
We can, you know, we have the logos, we know what we're doing. Well, we know what we're doing after this time around. We know how to make it better.
Yes.
So we have no doubt that we'll be able to make some great
Yeah.
things for you.
So exciting.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, we appreciate you guys, and we will see you next week.
Yes, we will. All right. Peace and
Bye.
blessings, y'all.